Hey, so you Finns think that you have your classic boat community organized. Well, wait until Christoph is done. He's from the Freundeskreis Klassische Yachten in Germany. In 1994, a few friends came together and just had a beer in the cockpit. And that led to the founding of the Freundeskreis, which is a circle of friends, which has now grown to the largest classic yacht community in the world, with something like 1,600 members. And the rest of the story comes from Christoph.
Hello, dear friends. I think that's one of the most commonly used words today was friends. I really like that. So we heard a lot about friendship in the sailing ladies and in other parts. So I have the pleasure to talk to you about a community of 1,600 friends and even more boats that I'm a proud member of for many years. Short info about myself. I'm a small boat enthusiast, so that allows me, with the help of all these friends, to have one for the addiction. And you heard a little bit about that from Paul. One for the heart, a small day cruiser together with my wife, and one for the legacy of preserving one of the few surviving pre-war classes in this world. So, as John was saying, Freundeskreis, difficult German words, translate to circle of friends. And that's really what the meaning is. And it's got a very positive and also inclusive connotation in German. And that means it's not a club, it's not an organization, it's a community of like-minded people that come together. And this is also how it started. Because back in '94, they realized there was not really a home anymore for classic yachts and the typical events. So they said we need to do two things. One is getting the boats together and the people, and communicate about it. So started with a magazine early on, built a website, and took this forward. And this was so successful that a few years later we could already fill the entire harbor of Laboe in the Kielfjord with classic boats, to just have a good time together, do races, do good food, do beers. And this is now the biggest yacht regatta in Germany for classic yachts, and probably one of the biggest in the world. And we even took it further. You can go always bigger. So every few years we organize a whole week of cruising in the Baltic Sea. Last edition was in '24 with more than 200 boats, ranging from 12-foot dinghies up to 12 meters, so everything from small boats through to big boats. Next one is going to be in '29, and we hope to see many of you there in this community. All these projects and these races are self-organized projects, so it's a bit difficult because it's various teams, various organizations, and the Freundeskreis Circle of Friends is just the cover and the umbrella of that, and tying everything together, like this night race that goes on the Baltic. And yes, we have a short coast, but we have a lot of beautiful inland waters, and that we associate with the local clubs to build races that may also here, in this case, cover an entire lake, or organize collections of various races throughout the lake over the year, and you can collect ranking points if you're a competitive person, and then go into that. Or it's a more leisurely style of sailing, like here on Lake Constance, where people just come together with boats that have been handed through generations and enjoy just the beautiful summertime and cruising together amidst all these plastic boats that you normally see in the markets. The good thing with our hobby is we also have the nice winter season, so we can spend time in the boatyard. And to warm up in between, we meet in various places, exchange about the projects, have young people presenting their new projects, like Kurt and Emily here, a highly interesting project of Stella and Max Oertz's yacht, which is really key in German history because it introduced long-term cruising to that. And when we go from there, we have a big community also of boat builders and artisans, and they open their doors, invite people in to exchange, to learn about the crafts and trades, because many people do the work on their own boat, and you know that very well. There was a time in between when it was very important to understand what boats are still there. So there was a big initiative to find all the boats in the yards, find a new life for them. And we have to say this is concluded. So this doesn't exist anymore because we know all the boats, most of them have been salvaged, some had to be scrapped, and they all are now in their second life. How many lives will they have? Let's see about that. We have our own symposium. It's pretty technical, maybe because the Germans are engineers, so it's like the craftspeople come together and talk about detail of boat restoration, but also a lot about the history and like the background of design. Why do boats look that way? And things that William also explained today. Or apprentices by Arvid and Rasmussen showing their project. Like I said, communication has always been a big part of what we've been doing. So we've got a membership magazine, but that's not professional authors. It's the members sending in articles, sending in their beautiful pictures of their projects, sometimes very lengthy explanations of exchanging planks and frames on boats, and sometimes beautiful stories about their last trip up to Finland. Our website is like our current news update, and yes, we also run a Facebook and an Instagram account. And if you want to take a very deep dive, we've got a digital yachting museum with tons of information. Yes, and also starboards. Pick this on particular here. And for those that like the modern tools, we introduced a year ago a smartphone app that connects friends of classic boats by the fingertip, and you can have an interactive calendar where you can just jump to the events. And we have a very thriving boating shop. So if you're in need of yet another boat, take a look into that. So with all this done, are we now in the sunset of this history of classic yachts, or are we looking into a sunrise actually here? You can decide for yourself. But a few thoughts for you that we have about how it goes on into the future. So we've got this immense amount of information, and now we've got all these new cool tools coming in. And William, you're doing a lot, and Evelyn, I know, in New York is doing a lot of things. So wouldn't it be great if we could talk to our forefathers with these tools and just understand why they did this by all the communication that was done in the past? And we have 150 years worth of digitized yachting magazines in our archives. But we also need to think about how many lives can these boats actually have. Can we restore them again and again and again and hand them over to the next generations and inspire people to do yet another restoration project after yet another 30 years of use? In particular, also find a young generation going forward that will take this heritage into the future. Because if we do a good job, this boat will live much longer than we do. And then that means they will not only carry their origin, but also even our own heritage into the future. So with that, thank you. And we hope to see you on the water, in the shed, online, or at the bar. Thank you.
Good.